In life, whenever people are wanting to know where to turn to, they sometimes turn to self-help books or wellness gurus. But those with a very specific goal of maintaining power turn to Niccolo Machiavelli's book, The Prince. This book was written almost 500 years ago, but still is used today in modern times. He poses the question, is it better for a leader to be feared or loved? We'll explore this through Nicholas II, Tsar of Russia. Then we'll move on to the 39th President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. And finally, we'll look at a more modern example, Kim Jong-un. Niccolo Machiavelli says that it is far safer for a leader to be feared than loved because it's difficult for the two to exist together in a leader. Tsar Nicholas II was feared by his people. He used a secret police to enforce his rules, but he distanced himself from them so that hatred went to the secret police, and his people merely feared him. However, on January 22nd, 1905, this fear turned into something that Niccolo Machiavelli warned against, hatred. A group of peasants approached Nicholas's palace, and they were trampled and shot at by guards. And this very moment, the fear that Nicholas's people felt for him turned to hatred. And this is considered to be one of the most pivotal events leading to the 1917 Russian Revolution. Fear is something that you can control as a leader. However, once it crosses that line into hatred, that is the danger zone. That's when your peasantry or your people can rise up against you. So now we'll look at someone who is loved, Jimmy Carter. When he entered office, he had an astonishing 66% approval rating, which plummeted swiftly as his days went on. He pardoned Vietnam War draft evaders, which was supposed to be an act of compassion, but it actually ended up leading to a lot of people resenting him, particularly veterans of the Vietnam War. His kindness was also seen as weakness during the United States' darkest hour, the Iran hostage situation, when 52 United States citizens were captured after the Tehran embassy was stormed in Iran. Through this, his compassion and kindness was seen as weakness, and in fact, right after he stepped down from office, or his term was up, the hostages were released. Machiavelli warns against being loved as a leader because it's something that you can't control. It's something that lies solely within the opinions of your people, which again is something you can't control as a leader, unlike fear, which you hold the reins of. But is it possible to be both feared and loved? Because Machiavelli says that this is the ideal form of maintaining absolute control. I believe that to do this, you need to use an excessive amount of propaganda because these are such polar opposites, fear and love. So, to explore this, we'll go to the propaganda capital of the world, North Korea. Kim Jong-un is revered by his people. There are pictures of him in every office, classroom, and train car that are cleaned every day with a special cloth. There are songs dedicated to him, such as the creatively titled, "We Will Follow Only You." So he is deified by his people, but he is also feared. He uses concentration camps, and if any recent missile tests or military demonstrations show, he is also very military abled. So while he is loved by his people and deified, he is also feared. And through this, he has been able to maintain absolute control not only of his country, but of the minds of his people. So we see then that it is better to be feared than loved. It is easier, unless that fear crosses the line into hatred. But if you can be both feared and loved by your people, it will lead to you maintaining absolute control. Ethically, I certainly don't agree with this because I believe that the ultimate goal of a leader should not be for himself or herself to maintain control, but instead to look out for the good of the people they are leading. However, as Machiavelli shows, to maintain absolute power, to keep absolute control over your kingdom, whether your kingdom be a company or an actual kingdom, it is important to be both feared and loved, if that is possible for you to maintain. Thank you.